Okay, hello everybody. This is Thomas Smith here with eBSI Export Academy, and I'm with Barry Connell from Franchise Development Services here in Dublin, Ireland. Greetings to all of our students in Trinidad and Tobago and around the world who are going to be participating in today's webinar. Now, a brief introduction to the background of eBSI for those who are new to our company and our academy. We were basically established back in 2002. We launched the one-year International Trade Specialist Accreditation at that time, which has now been running for over 12 years, and with thousands of graduates around the world. We also offer a diploma in export operations, which we launched in 2007, and are running in conjunction with the IFC, a Finance and International Trade e-learning program, which has also been very successful over the last few years. We offer a corporate training offering for those who may have a requirement for it. And we are going to be launching now in the United States with the World Trade Institute of the Americas. Our accrediting partner here in Europe is the Institute of Export in the UK. They accredit our international trade programs. And we have recently developed a partnership with the Institute of Supply Chain Management to offer their accredited programs and qualifications in logistics, supply chain management, warehousing, freight management, and purchasing and inventory management. So again, we have relationships with a number of different online trade partners, including Icon Trader, a US-based B2B marketplace, Webport Global, which is an online community facilitating international traders, again on a B2B basis, sort of like a Facebook for exporters or a LinkedIn for exporters. And of course, the World Trade Center in Dublin, which is our hosting organization. Our e-learning program, the International Trade Program, is basically based on multimedia training, online training delivered through our online campus, of course. And we have a system of assessments which allows participants to go through our online content and be able to access their assessments at a time which is convenient for themselves. We are a 24 hours online organization. No need for worrying about traveling to evening classes or scheduling evening classes. The networking platform provided by Webport Global enables our students not only to be able to acquire the practical knowledge needed for international trade, but to actually apply it through a secure online business community with like-minded business individuals. Again, all of this effort leads to certifications from the Institute of Export, from our own organization, and from the International Chamber of Commerce. The International Trade Specialist Program is broken up into 4 areas of study. First of all, the export marketing module goes through how to identify foreign markets, how to adapt our marketing to be able to access those foreign markets, and then to create a practical market entry strategy or business plan to actually implement the market entry. Next, then, once we've identified the markets, we need to be able to actually obtain orders and prepare those orders, ship them, and get them paid for. So first of all, trade and customs practice covers the logistical side, the area of customs and documentation, and of course contracting and Incoterms 2000. Finally, then we have trade finance module, which enables us to cover the methods of payment used in international trade, as well as methods of finance. And the trade finance module that we include within the International Trade Specialist Program is basically used by the International Finance Corporation as the core module of their Finance of International Trade e-learning initiative. And of course, no program nowadays can be complete without an e-business module to identify how we can implement the new technologies and enter into foreign markets using the cheaper and more cost-effective mediums of the internet and social media. This is a quick overview of the infrastructure that's provided for our participants here, including our organization with Export TT in Trinidad and Tobago. As you can see, there's a number of tools that are being provided by participants to enable them to achieve not just academic success, but business and career success as well. That was a quick overview of the ITS accreditation and eBSI, but now I'd like to bring in Barry to take us through the subject of today, which is going to be international franchising opportunities. Barry Conlon, welcome to eBSI.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Good morning, evening, afternoon to those that have attended. Barry Conlon is my name, the Managing Director of Franchise Development Services in Ireland. We work primarily with international franchise brands. We bring them into Ireland. We also work with the domestic brands to find an ability to scale and grow internationally and introduce them to investors. And we also work with early stage or maybe well-established organizations growing through company normal growth and reviewing the franchise business model. So today is really just looking at the international element and what is needed and how you would implement a plan. So I suppose there are four important criteria to assess whether your business has the capabilities. Financials, the business needs to be profitable. If any investor is going to hand over their hard-earned cash, the numbers need to stack up. So it's an extremely important element of the process. Certainly an international franchise development team, whether that's in-house if the organization is large enough, or whether that's an outsourced resource using an organization like ourselves. And we partner and we work with these brands and build mid to long-term valued consultative relationships. And obviously the careful planning and understanding of the necessary infrastructure requirements. It isn't straightforward. There's a lot of challenges and a lot of planning that needs to go into to get the business right, whether that's a product or a service. There's a lot to be done. And again, obviously down to the research itself of the international markets and to set standards and goals to achieve, if the business is going international, to look at one or two countries at a time. Anything larger than that will just add too much confusion. The focus needs to be on slow, steady, profitable, successful growth, and 1 to 2 countries is certainly sufficient. I suppose what does you need? A couple of questions that we really need to look at is what does your organization need to grow outside of Ireland and the UK? In this case, these are the large majority of areas that I specifically work. But again, it's addressing those questions to any organization from Trinidad and Tobago or whatever country you're from. We really need to see if it has the ability to do that. Is there a proven market for the products and services that you offer? And will it work in another international market? Planning, pre-entry market studies and outline international franchise development business plans are key to alleviate any risk by moving into a market that may not be suitable. Again, localizing and understanding the cultures of a new market are extremely important. Budget availability. I mean, franchising and international franchise growth isn't cheap. It is an expensive process. The business model is scaling. We're focusing on brand development and internationalization, and these things are costly. But over time, the ROI or the return on investment is healthy. And then we're looking for suitable and ideal profiles for the investors that we deal with. Obviously, the legals and the due diligence needs to be applied, and then we need to see, have we got the backbone to support those operations, those investors in the markets that we are entering into? Do we have language skills and so on and so forth? So just a couple of brands that we as FDS or Franchise Development Service have worked with. So Mothercare, a lot of you will be very familiar with this. It's an organization that has grown exceptionally well internationally, and one that we had assisted in that particular growth. Laura Ashley, again, it's an organization in the textiles and homeware industry. We helped develop them certainly in the UK and brought those guys into the Middle East. Body Shop, we work with them from the concept right way through to developing the franchise business model. The same with Tax Assist, from a concept, sitting down, an accountant in a Big Four organization, saw an idea and a concept, and we assisted in building this business, which has been hugely successful. CEX, or Computer Entertainment Exchange, some may be familiar with it. It's grown now to 350 locations around the world, and Subway, obviously the largest franchise in the world. We've been working with them for over 21 years as an international franchise consultants, and advising them on a number of different strategies, be that pre-market entry studies, or it could be secret shoppers, or just ensuring the brand is being maintained. And Platinum Property Partners is an organization that's UK based only. And again, their ability to grow internationally is not there, so hence they focus on the UK. So there are a number of different methods of franchise strategies. There's a direct investment, obviously, into the business itself. Master franchising, where you can, and it's the only model which allows you to sub-franchise. So you can award a territory, and that being a master, and allow somebody else that owns the master to sub-franchise. Area development is a specific location within a country that you grant the rights for someone to use. Single unit direct franchising is what it says. It's acquiring one single unit, be that a retail store or a service provider for a specific territory. Joint venture, working with a brand themselves on an equal share. And a partial franchise, this may be elements of the franchise itself, maybe product related and not dissimilar to a license agreement. So why would we go global? I suppose what we're doing is we want to maximize the franchise equity and the brand value. Also, we could leverage our existing intelligent or IP rights, the training, marketing, and support services. So again, IP and trademarks are extremely important, and they need to be protected in each market that we go into. But building size and scale is key to why we go global. It's now focusing on the brand itself, and building and refining that to ensure that the structures are consistent and the quality is also delivered. Again, exploiting new markets for long-term business growth. That's, I suppose, evident insofar as we are selective about the markets that we go into, and we'll catch up with this later in the slides. Again, what we are doing is by going global is spreading the risk by diversifying our revenue source. So in company-owned growth, it can be quite challenging to obtain continuous funds, and therefore if we devise a new business strategy, it allows us to allow other like-minded investors to become partners and make a success of our business and brand as a whole. And again, I suppose the revenue streams that come from managed service fees and other supply line revenues, be it a product sale, managed service fees are typically taken off the total revenue and paid on a monthly basis, and this varies from franchise to franchise. But again, you know, going global is exploiting a global marketplace and what it offers. It's very simple. It's not simple, but it's certainly extremely valuable if you get it right and you take your time to grow and grow profitably and ethically. The franchising has been accepted. It's around since the 1900s. It's in early stages. The Singer sewing machines was one of the first franchise businesses that established. So it's widely recognized. It's been hugely successful in the States. Everything is pretty much franchised over there. And we're seeing a continuous growth in the area as the business model makes sense when it's done correctly. Obviously, the legal relationship welcomes consumers to invest in a brand. It alleviates risk for them to set up and establish a new brand on their own. and allows them to invest in something that is well established and has a proven success and track record, and going into business on your own, but with the support of somebody that knows what they're doing. And obviously what we're trying to do is to attract prospective franchise owners for investment, and that's people that buy into what I had said in the previous point is really what it's about. We also have the franchise conglomerates, large organizations. The Middle East is a massive area for where they acquire huge amounts of franchises. Rather than owning single operations, they own a portfolio of brands from food, retail, business, finance, a number of different areas. So diversified portfolio with established franchise brands that they acquire master rights. And then you have multi-brand investors similar to that, but not as large. And again, diversity across their businesses. I suppose we're just expanding further on the global economy, standards of living. People appreciate franchise brands. Our international markets are maturing. E-commerce has allowed us to open the gates and deliver and do business in most countries around the world. As again, important in terms of the international business element. And again, it's a hugely competitive area, but global business is written, and it can form from domestic to then regional and obviously going global. So what do you as a franchisor need? If you're an established franchisor, what's important? I suppose the benefits of it, and again, we will recap on some of these later on. It's to accelerate the organization's growth, and to reallocate the resources and grow the opportunity. So the business model has shifted somewhat to prevent us depending on banks for lending. We refine our brand, and we manage the consistency of the services that we offer, and we build the necessary support platforms to ensure our investors or business partners are successful. But we have to be very realistic. I mean, can our business or concept expand out of our local market? In this case, I referenced Ireland and the UK. And will it be successful? I mean, there's an important analysis needs to be done. If the business can only operate in a local market, we need to draw a line in the sand and say that this is a domestic market business. It's also important to remember that a concept cannot be franchised. A franchise is based on a business that has proven to be successful and is profitable and scalable. A concept it has no proven track record, although we still can apply some elements to review whether it can be successful. And again, simple question: can we leverage international growth to enhance the position in our local market? Very simple, basic. So in terms of the readiness, I mean, clear visions, the mission statement, our values and ethically practicing business, have they been defined? Do we know what our core positioning is, the competencies, what differentiates ourselves from some other business similar to ourselves? A USP is extremely important. As mentioned in the very first slide, profitability, it has to be profitable, and there has to be sufficient margin for an investor to make money, but at the same time, for us as a franchisor or a brand to make it worthwhile. And again, we have to show a proven track record of success in our home market, preferably one other market locally, so Ireland, UK, and then we look at other international markets. Again, we need to look at the strategic plan, so knowing where our international expansion plans fit in with immediate and long-term growth. Again, franchising as a development plan is largely focused on mid to long-term planning. It is about where the business is going to be in 5 to 15 years. Will it evolve? How it evolves, how we manage that, and we need to be very clear and concise and honest with ourselves about where that fits into our business goals as it stands today. So the scope of the expansion, I mean, is it locally? Is it just in the country next door to us? And what type of markets are we targeting? Is it mature, established, welcoming franchise brands? And again, is it do we have the ability to support with languages, or do we predominantly just focus on English speaking and look at language challenges at a later stage? And then how do we define the measures of success for the international venture? And it's important that we should always look at adding value to the brand is evolving, and that those that have invested in us are successful and profitable. And the operation infrastructure in place. So where do we begin? So we again, in terms of scaling any business, and for an investor to believe in the business model and why they would do that as opposed to setting up a business on their own, we have to have a core operating system and a support process to assist them in being successful. That's part and parcel, and one of the most important elements for anybody reviewing a franchise as an investment is what the back end of the business looks like, not just what the brand and the identity is in the forefront or in the public eye. Training materials and systems are extremely important. Again, obviously, where translation's involved, this needs to be thorough and accurate and associated with local markets, cultures, and so on and so forth. But the training and the documentation of how to run this business is key, and we need to implement those in place. The marketing platforms and systems who we're partnering with is a resource that's built in-house. So are we using an outsourced party? Are we using local marketing organizations, or and so on and so forth? So again, it's an important area to look at. And supply chain and logistics is, again, if it's a food, where are we going to supply that? How do we ensure consistency of that quality of that product? And again, the logistics, again, we reviewing the cost. Does it still make sense if logistics is expensive in one country? Is there enough profit prior to us entering into that market? And then the overall franchise administration. Legal systems and processes. We mentioned trademarks at the beginning. Extremely important in new territories. We need to go in. We need to protect the name. And we need to add the necessary franchise clauses. And again, everything that we do, we need just non-disclosure agreements and license agreements so that we protect ourselves and the draft and the sensitive information we share. So again, the various strategies to explore the geographical expansion, so the targeted markets or emerging market. Which market do we choose? How selective are we in doing that? In terms of the market selection matrix, identifying the critical success factors. These should always be based on slow growth, profitable growth, ensuring that the investors or the business partners are extremely well supported in their local market. And again, what we do is we assign weights to each factor based on the brand. So again, looking at each individual brand and its target market and how we apply that particular matrix. And then we rank countries, continent, region, geopolitical boundaries. Simple, normal strategies, again, for very, very large organizations. Important demographic factors to address: simple: age, the income, total population, the growth rates. Under 30s as a target market is important. Urbanization of a specific area when we're doing our territory mapping, educational literacy, and lifestyle trends. So very straightforward assessment of what we're doing from a demographical perspective. The economic factors, again, we need to ensure that there is an ability for the investor to stay there for a long time, 10, 20 years, and so on and so forth. And what is the forecast for that particular location? The GDP, purchasing power parity, the usual GDP growth, so CPI versus WPI, really important areas to assess a large market as a whole. Then cultural acceptance, which is very much understanding how do those products and services work in those local markets. The lifestyle trends, one thing that works lifestyle or is popular in one country or one region, it may not be the same in another. So therefore, we need to address and ensure that we have are targeting the right markets that we will be successful in. The type of activities they're in, again, disposable income, if something is a luxurious product or service, religious and cultural impacts, and language, obviously, which we addressed earlier. We look at a number of other areas in terms of the infrastructure itself, the setup, the costs. Are there any import barriers if we're manufacturing a particular product in a location or delivering a service from another location? We need to review the costs, the local regional supply options in terms of getting that product or service delivered, distribution. Telecoms, again, extremely important today in terms of services, and I'm sure Thomas and his business would fully appreciate how important this area is. And obviously, if we're traveling and we need to use road or rail, how important the infrastructure is in that perspective.
Actually, you have a very good point there, Barry, because in our export marketing program, we do look at the market selection criteria, and pretty much everything that you've covered there is in the checklist that we have to identify where to go and how to evaluate potential markets. So it's very, very relevant.
Absolutely, it's the fundamental for any target market, certainly for a domestic brand reviewing any international location. You need to do your homework first, and this is it's simple. It is relatively straightforward, but you do need to follow a set structure. And just getting back to things in terms of the other economics that we need to look at, we touched on GDP and a number of other areas: labor costs, real estate costs, cost of goods sold, taxation, and construction costs. If the numbers don't stack up, again, is there room for us to make a success of the business? Lots of interesting areas that need to be addressed to ensure that we get the model correctly. And then, I know we touched on a little bit of this earlier on, but legal environment, it can cause a huge challenges. In the US, for example, franchise legislation changes from state to state, so it's quite challenging in that sense. We need to look at the impact of currency, the exposure that you may have if the organization is euro denominated and trading in weaker currencies, so positions that need to be taken up and what exposure is there, and then looking at the market itself, whether it's stable and what that forecasted outlook looks like. I suppose what you should avoid, or where you should avoid, are obviously markets low on your desirability index. So you've reviewed all of these things, and those that are way down, don't focus on them, focus on the ones at the top, where you believe that the concept or the business model itself is not applicable. Be very realistic about that, and don't try and target or grow into a market that it won't succeed. Every market you should enter needs to be successful, otherwise the brand can and will be tarnished, and on an international level. And again, we'd address the franchise legislation. If it doesn't stand up, and then it's not a market or an opportunity. We've talked about the foreign exchange again, and again, reviewing risk assessment is key to our market selection, and that's extremely important. We touched on it very briefly, but master and the various franchise expansion structures. So master franchise is a franchisor that grants a local master franchise license. So in Trinidad and Tobago, a master franchise for Subway could be granted, and the requirement is that the master franchise holder for Subway can then sub-franchise out to other investors that become single unit franchise holders. So there's an element of revenue developed and maintained by the master, and in accordance, that money then channels back up to the brand or Subway themselves as the franchisor. Area development is a commitment and can start off as a single unit investment, and based on success criteria, it can turn into an area development. So again, as it states, it's a local area developer, the rights to own and operate and build a business in that area. However, it has to be all owned and controlled by that investor, and it cannot be sub-franchised. The direct investor is simply one that owns the franchise itself as a single unit, and then there are partners and variations, but the keys will be master area development, multi-unit, and single unit. Joint ventures tend not to be as successful. I I suppose when we're generating leads, where do you need to focus on? I mean, you need to understand what the target market is. Masters, larger investors, deeper pockets. To acquire a master franchise for a leading food brand, you're moving into several million dollars. Area developers, not so much. And then again, established organizations in your sector, are they targeted? Do they wish to diversify? So yes, understanding your target market. I suppose, what do prospects read and study? Really important. Where is that, and how do you market in those areas? Your websites, you need to have presence there. It needs to be print, online, digital. Do these target investors attend franchise expos? Do they engage with financial brokers to advise them on franchise investment? Are they regularly attendance of trade missions to review international brands that may be coming into their local market? And it's important that who you can trust as a partner to find leads, and quality leads. It's important that you, as the business, if you're reviewing international expansion, that it is available and in print, digital, online, and app, and it's professionally delivered with a quality agency. Well thought out advertisements and or advertorials, just with a key action point, and needs to be done. A quality videos is very, very important today. Google listens to video, it listens to voice, so therefore it's very important for people to fully understand. I think the visualization of something, rather than the tiresome reading of lengthy literature, is what the new age consumer or investor is looking for. A quick summary. Again, your website, links to various promotions, and again, just a summary in terms of print, online, digital, app, web, PR, and trade associations. So the role of franchise media is really to read the key publications. Work with international lead generation websites. There are a number of them out there. We work in our organization have a number. International Franchise Directory, the UK Franchise Directory, Irish Franchise Directory. These are fantastic resources, and we generate leads for clients throughout the world. Introduce yourself and your story to writers and editors. Build local marketing and stories, and it's engaging with those people to help explore that. And I suppose, again, working with committed 12-month campaigns, expos if you're attendance, and obviously local targeted country PR is very important, rather than somebody that's advising you based in one market but really doesn't understand the market that you're actually penetrating or hoping to enter. I suppose it's important when you're choosing any international PR companies that they have contacts, they have access to investors, or they have access to the right target market, they have experience, they have references, and they have got results, and that they do hire in country, as mentioned before, rather than someone advising on a market they've never entered. So always, like anything, review three firms and look at pricing, and it's the usual tendering process. We would always advise three to be used. It's important to meet the brokers themselves, find out who is engaging with those potential leads for your international franchisors, and that the brokers are locally working with those investors as well. They don't sit in one country advising someone in another. It's not as effective. People like feet on the street support. Working with local brokers is much more effective. And understanding the role, and agree the predetermined sales, marketing, and the strategy as a whole, what the commissions are to be earned, and what sort of long-term relationship will be in place. And again, the commitments of agreements that will be signed with the brokers, those terms can change from time to time. So again, other areas to create leads will be looking at case studies, very important, of the success of your existing franchise owners, these being franchisees or franchise investors. You know, it's a really easy way to illustrate the opportunity in your target countries to show how well other investors have got on. We talked about videos. YouTube is a hugely important area. Look at the third-party editorials that have been created, and an international newsletter, so that everybody is aware of what's going on in every market and how successful the brand is and how worthwhile the investment is for somebody in a new market. The joint trade associations are very important. The International Franchise Association, British Franchise Association, and many others in your local target markets are a good place to get some local knowledge about franchising. And do ask for their assistance. You will need to be practicing ethically to become part of a member of their associations, the highly prized associations. But once you are, there's a lot of advice and guidance that they will give you. And do ask for referrals for brokers through these organizations. These have all the necessary tools and advice and guidance there. That's what your membership is all about. Fran Match International, it's a service that we certainly own and operate as franchise development services. So what we do is we build a long-term relationship with our clients. We better understand their business as a whole. And so it's an outsourced element of recruitment, we would say. So we would assess and screen the applicants' investors and present them to you if they meet the minimum criteria. You know your business a little bit better than us, so you would qualify in that sense. But we would normally advise that you put a program like this in place, and those Fran Match International firms would work on a low retention fee per month, and that they are making good, healthy commissions on the awarding of franchises from their leads. And again, you know, what's important is to target one or two markets to gain valuable experience. Targeting too many markets at one time, it is a mixed message, and every market you should enter should be successful. So that kind of completes a little bit of an overview of international franchising and what needs to be done. Appreciate your time. If you wish to engage or discuss franchising as a whole, whether it's your own business or otherwise, feel free to drop me an email, barry@fdsireland.ie. And please review the number of publications that we have online. The franchisemagazine.net, the Irish Franchise Magazine.net, and a number of other areas. So happy to engage, and Franchise Development Service will assist you and your brand if you're looking to grow internationally. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Thomas.
That's great, Barry. Thanks very much. Now, we have a couple of questions that have come in already from your presentation. So it's been very, very interesting so far. And while we cover the first couple of questions, if anybody has more questions, you can pop them in on the chat function on screen. So first of all, are there any sectors which lend themselves more to franchising?
Well, I suppose traditionally you will always see food always comes to mind. If you mention franchising, I suppose the brands that come to mind are always the McDonald's, Subways, Domino's, and so on and so forth. But yes, they have been proven very successful. And that is a good market. That's not to be said. Franchising is a business model. If a business shows that it has something unique, quality, scalable, and profitable, it can be franchised. It's a matter of how we implement the strategy and how we deliver it. But I would say, in terms of as a generalized statement, the food sector has been very popular. The hotel sector has been very popular. The financial sector has been, again, extremely popular. Retail, the large majority of retail stores are franchise locations. So it's certainly a very, very broad area. More and more industries are using the model to grow. So I hope that answers your question. Let's say food and retail predominantly have been successful, but let's not rule out anything. The 4 key criteria are the best way to assess if your business can grow.
Okay, great. We have another one which came in, which was, what does a potential franchisor need to prepare prior to starting to work with a franchising business?
There are a number of things. I mean, our organization, the consultancy process we do, we engage in a business that may be franchised. So it's a potential franchised organization. We need to address a number of things. So I think, again, going back on what I had said, the numbers need to stack up. It needs to be profitable. It needs to show that it's scaled potentially, or at least as one single location. And we believe in the brand. It should have a USP, or a unique selling point. Those points are really important. The management needs to be thorough. The support systems need to be implemented correctly. Trademarks and IPs are extremely important in the target market, be that domestically or internationally, and company registration isn't sufficient enough to build a franchise brand. Those would be the key areas for any business reviewing franchising. They're the key things before you would then move forward to creating your legal agreements and going ahead and building your franchise manuals and marketing the brand and so on and so forth.
Okay, and you had mentioned things like non-disclosure agreements, trademarking, and so forth. Can you help with this kind of thing?
Yes, well, in-house we do advise at a high level, but we work with preferred partners, and we work with a leading partner called Brand Protect, who operates globally and specializes in franchise trademarking, because there are certain clauses that need to be added for franchising. So going out and trademarking yourself online to save some money is not the right way to do it. If you're building a franchise deal with experts that know what they're talking about. Non-disclosure agreements, extremely important. That's to protect the sensitive information of your business and what you're going to share. I suppose it's only as good as how well it's written. They're high-level NDAs, but there are also very thorough ones and non-competing NDAs. But it's an important area to address. It should always be in place.
Okay, and we have one here. Are franchises normally territorial, or can you award, for example, an entire country to one business?
Yes, you can. Small countries, you may see a master franchise being granted for Ireland and or for, say, Trinidad and Tobago, or whatever the case may be. And my own business, Franchise Development Services Ireland, is a franchise, and I myself have a master franchise for Ireland and Northern Ireland. Again, the master franchise for a large country is not the preferred method anymore. And the reason why is that the franchise brands have less control over a very large market if they give an investor or a business partner the ability to sub-franchise. Therefore, their control over who is going to be owning and operating their brand is a few steps away from their control. So I think going forward, smaller countries, yes, masters will be there, and so franchises will be awarded. In other territories, I think the best method is probably to go through with the area developers and the multi-unit franchises. That's probably the best.
Okay, and then finally, one question that could be of interest to those who wish to kind of proceed or move forward with franchising. What kind of budget should a business require to start franchising?
I suppose it varies. It depends on the industry. It depends on your engagement with a consultant. If you engage with a consultant with a strong track record of building quality franchises, you may pay that little bit more. If you are to sellotape things together and really try and cut corners, you will bite yourself in the long term. So costs can vary, but franchising, to build a franchise business model, it's not cheap, especially if you're going international. I suppose in Ireland and the UK, we would estimate that an organization to firstly do an initial review of their business to see if it has a green light for franchising. Would do that phase, then they would do the trademarks, IPs, the franchise legal agreements, the manuals, and then the recruitment, brand management, and promotion, and so on and so forth. You're probably looking at about €50,000 minimum to start and begin a franchise and do it correctly.
Okay, great. So it's a significant investment, but having said that, there's a significant return if you can make it in the international franchising market.
Yes, so but I would always say that one step at a time, get your own local market done correctly. Be intelligent about the new market that you're entering in, and be very realistic of if you can support it, if it's a language barrier, and if it will fit into that local market. I mean, it's important that every market you go into must be successful and it must be profitable for the investor. If not, then it dilutes the quality of the brand itself. And that's where the good brands get it right, their support mechanism.
Okay, that's fantastic. So I think we've covered all of the questions. If anybody needed to consult with you on franchising ideas or franchising possibilities, would you be available to be in contact with them?
Yes, absolutely. And once again, as mentioned after the piece, my email is barry@fdsireland.ie. And either myself or one of my colleagues from one of our offices all over the world can engage and assist and review what you have and advise in an honest, professional and diligent manner.
That's fantastic. Well, Barry, really our deepest thanks for your time today. It was a very informative presentation. I think we've all learned a lot, and you've given a lot of people, I'm sure, some very interesting ideas to mull upon over the weekend. So again, thanks on behalf of eBSI Export Academy and Export TT in Trinidad and Tobago for coming on with us today. It's been a very, very enlightening session. Thanks very much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming along. And this session will be available online in a recorded format within about an hour.